Bless up, bless up, bless all the way up. It's your boy, Change Agent Cooper. Make sure you like this channel, subscribe to this channel, and click the bell for notifications so you can be alerted when this content is coming out. I got a lot to say, and I'm going to say it. I got a lot of experience, strength, and hope, and I'm going to share it. For me not to, that would be blasphemy. Yes, blasphemy. It would be blasphemy if a community leader was to keep secrets about what works. Speaking about what works, I tell you what does work. Lived experience. Yeah, that part. Lived experience. This morning, I want to talk specifically about peer support specialist salaries. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Peer support specialist salaries is what I want to talk about, man. And so first off, you can refer back to some of my past videos if you want to see what qualifies me to be speaking on this topic. Many of y'all already know who I am, what I do, how long I've been doing it, where I'm at, what money I done raised to do it, and all of that. Let's go. But this morning, I'm going to tell you, man, hey, better come correct with them peer support salaries if you want somebody solid. So when you look at my involvement with the peer support movement, you know what I'm saying, been rocking as a peer since back in really 2009 when I was in prison, when I became a peer counselor, but been around for a while. Transitioned to the workforce development space, created a hybrid model, like a cross between behavioral health and workforce development, and it's been a beautiful thing that's been happening. But since I've been in this space, I was able to get a connection with the Department of Health and Human Services, and we started this initiative called Voices of Affrilachia. Good God Almighty! Yeah! Been able to pump peer supports all into Western North Carolina. I ain't talking just any peer support either. I'm talking about like legit making sure people in recovery, making sure people practicing the program, and then being willing to sponsor their training, then being willing to get them a stipend if they had to take off work. That's how we rolling with Voices of Affrilachia, you dig? Shout out to the Department of Health and Human Services. Shout out to them for recognizing that equity needed to be addressed in rural Western North Carolina. And so, since I've been a community health worker capacity builder, because that's my title, I've been able to get people in peer support specialist training and community health workers trainings. I'm talking about over the past 2 years, over 70 people. I got to look at my most up-to-date spreadsheet because I've been popping them in them trainings. Shout out to Value Health. I'm talking about it goes back to when they were still doing the online trainings. Y'all remember they shut the online trainings down. I was pumping them into the Value Health training, pumping them into the Genesis training, pumping them to the Recovery Does Happen with Terry Spears and them. I was pumping peer supports out and making sure they were solid in their recovery, so don't get it twisted, homie. So anyway, since I've been in this role and organizations start finding out about what I was doing, they start reaching out to me more and more. People was already reaching out to me for solid peer support employment referrals. Like, hey, you got anybody solid? We got this position open. All the behavioral health agencies, I have relationships with them, have had relationships with their HR and everything. So they would reach out and they would be like, you got anybody solid? And so what I started to notice was the salaries weren't good enough. That's why they was having turnover, and that's why it was hard for them to pay folks. But in the pandemic, you start seeing a lot of grant money going out. The opioid settlements, ARPA, and all of this stuff. People start getting this money, especially peer-led organizations. You know what I'm saying? And when peer-led organizations get the bag, they gonna come correct with the salary because they get lived experience. They respect lived experience, and they want to see people thrive. You know what I'm saying? Not everybody got a master's degree. Some people got a degree from the master. Shout out to all the peer-led organizations doing the peer-led work. Keep on doing it right. Do it right, though. Do it right now. And so anyway, when we start talking about the pay, I start talking to these organizations, and they start saying that some of them start asking like, hey, I need you to tell me something like, so what's the pay? What's the going rate for pay for these folks? You know what I'm saying? What are peer supports making? And I say, well, to be honest with you right now, man, if you want somebody solid, you're going to have to pay them at least, $20, $21 an hour. If you want somebody solid. They say, oh my gosh, we can't pay that. That's what we pay QPs. That's what we pay our clinicians. I say, well, I'm telling you, like when you look at what the peer-led organizations are paying, what my team getting paid, you know what I'm saying? Like I tell them, like, you got to come correct with the salary. You got to see it as different. So this video is to let you know, listen, if you have a wage structure in place, like that guides the way that you pay folks, and it's not going to allow you to honor lived experience, my recommendation is to contract it out. Contract the peer support specialist services out to a peer-led agency. That's what my recommendation is. If it is possible, with whoever your funder is, whoever that contract is with, contracted out to a peer-led agency so that they can pay a person more than what you can pay them, because the way that your structure is set up within your behavioral health system. Now, I'm going to tell you something. You also got to do your due diligence to make sure you're getting solid peer supports. You know what I'm saying? Like what I've seen over the past several years, see people come fresh off the boat, straight into the field without enough training. You know what I'm saying? They kind of being misled. You know, I see all this stuff. Some people circle back around like, hey, you think you can help me find another job, or this is what happened to me, or that happened to me, and stuff like that. And I've been able to get people connected to better opportunities. You know what I'm saying? Or different opportunities whenever it wasn't a good fit. Glory be to God for connections. But I'm gonna tell you, man, like whenever you do get ready to contract this out, behavioral health agencies, make sure you rocking with an agency, an organization that is legit. And it ain't hard to find out who's legit. You know what I'm saying? Like if you doing community work and stuff like that, it ain't hard to find out who's legit. So make sure you rocking with somebody that's legit. And you gotta, the other thing about having it with a peer-led agency is because, you know, accountability. You know, peer support specialists hold each other accountable way different than a regular manager or a regular supervisor. We all in recovery, so we get it. We talk a different language. You know what I'm saying? We talk recovery. Me and my team, when we meet, whenever there's two or more gathered, you know what I'm saying? And we busting out a devotional or something. You know what I'm saying? We rock different. We always talking about recovery. We go to recovery meetings together. As a matter of fact, I recommend my team, they make 2 recovery meetings on the clock. That's right. It's not a break. It's a part of your job, homie. Because if your recovery is what qualifies you to work this job, then listen, recovery meetings is a part of your professional development. That part. Especially when you're talking about peer supports in recovery from addiction. I'm not playing around with my people. You heard? That part. And so, for y'all who have been hiring those trying to, you know, struggling with hiring peer supports because you can't get the salary where it needs to be, you know, please hear my recommendation. Contract it out to a peer-led agency, to a community-based organization. Let them properly compensate the peer support. You know, a lot of us that made it through hell, you know, and turned it around and are experienced as peer support specialists, you know, may have a 2-year degree, may have went back and got a, you know, bachelor's, or may have several other stackable credentials. You know, like you see a lot of people with stackable credentials, you know what I'm saying? You got the recovery coach, your mental health first aid, motivational interviewing, you know what I'm saying? You got a community health worker. Like, people that stacking these credentials keep upping that pay right with it, though. You feel me? Because these are all components of getting you a valued peer support specialist. You know, that 50-hour training is a great thing, and there's more that's needed before a person is really ready to be out there in the field like that. And it's dependent upon what the scope of work is of the peer support too. You know what I'm saying? There's different scopes of work. But like community-based peer supports and all of that stuff, working with the high acuity, severe and persistent mental illness, and peer supports that's having to navigate certain systems like the workforce system. Shout out to Inspire. You know what I'm saying? That's why I came correct with them salaries. You heard? When I created that program, I came correct with the salaries because I knew it wasn't just a easy peasy peer support job. It was one where you had to know how to navigate resources within the community college system, which is within the WIOA system, within the vocational rehabilitation system. You had to be able to do some things. You feel me? A little extra. You heard? So I want to make sure my people was compensated properly. You know, but yeah, I don't want to go on too much, man. We're approaching 9 minutes. Just want to repeat myself and reiterate one more time. If you are struggling to properly compensate peer support specialists, consider contracting it out to a community-based organization. If you're watching this video and you're interested in learning more about my work and what I've been up to in Western North Carolina, or looking to scale it up, replicate it, or whatever, you know what I'm saying, holla at your boy. My email is coop@operationgateway.org. It is not hard to find me. I'll be all over the place. I do webinars for SAMHSA. I do webinars for PRAIN, Policy and Research Associates. I forget the rest of it, but like I do talks with Institute for Emerging Issues. I do talks with NC Works. You know, and anytime I talk about lived experience, I talk about community health workers and peer support specialists, best practices, best trainings to stack on for them to make sure that they're ready to be in the field and all of that. I'm here for it. I'm not here to compete. I'm here to collaborate. I want to see lived experience be honored for a long time, because it should be. Because really, what some of us made it through, what we made it through to get to where we at right now, provides an expertise that you can never teach in school. Now it's time to undergird that expertise with the other skills that it takes to maintain and sustain this lived experience in a role as a professional. Not a paraprofessional, but a professional. My name is Change Agent Cooper. I'm not the answer, but I'm for daggone sure the alternative. Bless up.